1925, and the coal company immediately called the government in Halifax, and they sent down the troops. Troops were sent into Cape Breton, and there was 2 warships sent into Sydney Harbour. There's pictures of 2 warships from Halifax. Thank you, Halifax. Sent down the troops and the 2 destroyers, because the rich don't fuck around. And so anyway, my father was young, he was a runner, and they said the deal was the miners were on strike, and they didn't care that the soldiers were there or not, because they were all Marxist-Leninists at this point. It was a crazy time. And because the Marxist-Leninists were the only people that were saying, yeah, you don't have to take this. Your kids don't have to starve so that other people can have more money. And so the miners got together and they said, okay, the soldiers are here, but they got the guns, they got the destroyers. But if anybody dies, if they kill any one of us, we're going to turn this strike into a riot. And the code was, not code, but the slogan was, we're going to visit the company store, because the company store had all the food on the shelves. And they barred the miners from getting food. So anyway, so I don't forget now. I'm after forgetting how young Davis died in Glace Bay, but he died. He got attacked by police, I think it was, or something, and he was in the hospital. And all the miners were in all of Cape Breton, in the industrial region, were waiting to see what was happening to Davis, because they weren't fooling around either, and they had nothing to lose. And he died. And the deal was, if he died, there would be bonfires in the New Outer Fort, across the harbour, and then my old man would see it and run up and tell the miners, because they were next to the company store. So my father played that part. And Davis died, young Davis died, and the bonfire came. The old man ran up, said, visit the company store, he said. And it's a funny thing. So in 1970, this is like a movie now, but in 1970, the old guys were dying off, those guys, those miners and those people. And you remember Joe Link in City Mines? John Yu took a clipping, an obituary clipping, because one of the old guys died from that era, died in 1970. And John Yu cut out this obituary clipping because he hadn't changed his name back in the family, Joe Link, the electrical people. And so they buried their grandfather. In the grandfather's obituary, his name was Joseph Marxist Leninist Link. he changed it. He changed it way back, and they forgot. I guess. Oh my God! Look at this. But here's some of the story about it. I got it from a book, and I got it from people saying, people were. Eating nothing, had nothing to eat. When the soldiers went by, they would say, we're eating ham this morning, and all that stuff. Anyway, here's a song. It's called Stand on the Gaff, and where I got that title from, it's kind of an odd title, but the opposition leader up here in Halifax said, don't worry about the miners. They'll never stand the gaff. And the gaff is, I'm pulling a pole for fishing. And don't worry about them. They'll never stand this gaff. They'll never stand the gaff. So the slogan became, where do you stand on the gaff, and how do you stand on the gaff? They've closed down the mine, and that suits me fine. I ain't working there for no cut and pay. The ones in the slide saying we're eating ham. I screwed it up, I'm sorry. I get kind of, not emotional, but I get kind of weird about this song. They've closed down the mine. They've closed down the mine, and that suits me fine. I ain't working there for a cut and pay. And they're up in Halifax saying we'll never last. So where do you stand on the gaff? Where do you stand on the gaff? troops in, saying we'll never win. Well, ain't that a sin, 'cause we ain't giving in. And they're keeping us poor, so they can have more. So how are you standing the gap? And how are you standing the gap? Yeah, they moved the troops in and put them in camps. There's plenty of food there for Her Majesty's tramps. But tell them a lie, boys, tell them we're eating ham. Where do you stand on the gap? Where do you stand on the gap? Now they've murdered a man. Young Davis is dead. The island's awake now, and we're seeing red. The company says behave, yeah, like good little slaves. So where do you stand on the gap? Where do you stand on the gap? Well, I don't care how many goddamn battleships they got. That coal's gonna rot till we get what we want. The next man who dies won't be a coal miner's son. He'll be wearing a helmet. He'll be carrying a gun. He'll have Kettle written on his sleeves. Oh yeah. Well, who the hell they gonna fight here anyway, except the hunger in our kids? Well, brother, they're gonna live. Yeah, they're gonna live. Let Presco come down. Let them come down and recruit us themselves. They stand on their food stores, the food on their shelves. Well, that's not gonna be, no, that's not gonna be. You just wait and see. You just wait and see. That was a long time ago, a lifetime now. My father often tells me about the time when they visited the company store. He's not working now, but you could see it in his eyes, where he stood on the gap.